Bounty Hunters. Life on the blockchain.
Welcome back to Bounty Hunters Life on the Blockchain. We are back, fresh on the blockchain. We're always fresh. First, we're giving a shout out to our sponsor, Recon. You can learn more about Recon at getrecon.xyz. Put in a /riptide to get a little $5,000 off for first-time customers for an invariant testing engagement. Recon offers high-quality Solidity audits powered by invariant testing. Having worked with leading projects such as Centrifuge, Liquidity, and Badger, they also have a ton of useful resources for bounty hunters and protocol devs. And the best thing I like it is that from your GitHub, you can fuzz right there. So super easy. And I just want to mention, so Alex is a co-founder of Recon, and he just made his LSR title at Spearbit, which I've heard that's no joke. So the guy knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's fuzzing the hell out of things to find all these bugs. So give it a shot. Okay, so we have milotruck. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi. It's nice to be here. I haven't done this in quite a while, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh, the man. Hey, is it milotruck or Milo?
It's Milo. So how the name comes about is Milo is a drink. It's a soft drink in I think not most Asian countries, but in where I live, it is. So that's how I got the name. But most people think it's like a Spanish name or something, so they call it like Milo. Yeah.
Isn't it a chocolate drink?
Sort of similar to that. Yeah,
Milo.
but I think not really.
I think my wife's from Australia. I think she mentioned Milo. It's like a Yoo-hoo type of thing. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, I think Australia has it. I don't know
Yeah.
what Yoo-hoo is, but it should be that one.
It's a terrible drink. So what, you crank on these drinks all the time? That's how you got the name?
I used to when I was younger. I drank a lot of Milo. So my original like gaming name was milotruck. And then when I jumped to contest, I brought it over. So part of me regrets bringing this name over because
I love it. It's a good name. I'm always interested in people's handles. Like there's always some backstory that is usually interesting. But some guys are just like, I just close my eyes and just type something.
Yeah,
and I'm like NNEZ. Okay, yeah, he just NNEZ. That's all it is.
like Simao, he just smashed a random sequence of numbers on his keyboard, and now he regrets.
Yeah, because once you're branded with it, I mean that's your rep. Unless you want to start all over.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes I do wish I did pick like a nicer name or something that separated me from like my past life, so you can't OSIN me out. But it is what it is.
Start Googling you right now if I see pictures of you. No, I hear you, man. So those that don't know you, you are an LSR at Spearbit. You are you hit number 1 on the Code Arena leaderboard in 2023. You used to work for, I don't know if you're still working for Trust, his audit company. And primarily you're doing audits and contests. But I did see you had 3 bounties listed from a couple years ago. Are you still hunting?
As of right now, no. I do hope I do have the time to go back into bounties because I never really put the time into it. So I think a bit of context, maybe a bit of small intro from what I've been up to since.
Tell us. Give us some background.
Yeah, since my previous interview, which I think was like early 2024. It's been quite long. So after 2023, where I did like the long contest run, which wasn't really that long, and I hit number 1 on C4, I did audits for almost all of 2024. And during most of 2024, I was doing work audits under Trust and under Spearbit, and then also working on sort of a small firm with Bytes and Holler and another Alex under the name of Renaissance, which we stopped doing this year. Yeah, so I was mainly doing audit work during 2024. And towards the start of this year, I decided to go fully with Spearbit because they promoted me to LSR, and Renaissance, like, we sort of decided to split ways because we sort of had interest in other things. And yeah, when I joined Spearbit full time, not full time, for the fellowship, the Cantina fellowship, I had to stop working with Trust because that's part of the rules. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been up to.
Well, congratulations. I hear the LSR rules. Everyone celebrates when they make LSR. So I guess a lot of people are after that. So that's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's sort of like as of now, it's sort of the highest tier that people view it as. So they celebrate when they reach. Although I think there's a lot more things to look for, and there's a lot higher you can go after reaching LSR.
And you're not locked into Spearbit, right? You're just that's your kind of audit rate when you do work with them.
So I'm in the Cantina fellowship. Locked in depends on how you view it, but I would say my agreement with them is quite restrictive in the sense that I can't audit with other firms and I can't participate with like other platforms as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people in the space view it as quite a bad thing. What I view it as is I can't really say because I would get in trouble with Spearbit. So
Don't jeopardize anything. I think it's good because you have a good revenue stream because Cantina is pretty popular. I'm sure there's good audit flow coming in. So I don't know what your standpoint is. From my standpoint, I see it as like, hey man, it's good money. You got good challenging work and you got a good brand name. Why not?
yeah, I think mainly when I agreed to it, it was a good deal for me. That's why I agreed to it. But I think a lot of people view it as against like the ethos of Web3 in the sense that it's not very open and you're like restricting people to log in into your ecosystem. So you do their audits, you do their contests, you do their bounties, but you can't do it with other platforms. So yeah, it depends how you view it.
So if you found a bug just out there and it was hosted on ImmuneFi, you couldn't submit it.
Yeah, I can't submit it to Immunify. This is a point that I sort of don't really like, I would say. I think it's safe to say this as well. Because yeah, it's our method of how we do it is we go through Spearbit when reporting the bug. So they will try to link us directly to the protocol. And if that doesn't work out, then we can work it out from there. And maybe they'll allow us to report on Immunify. But I haven't explored this quite a lot. So I don't really know as well.
It's a ridiculous kind of restriction because, I mean, who's got multiple names on the leaderboards and can spin up anything? If you find $1 million bug, you're telling me you wouldn't, okay? But let's just say someone would spin up a new identity and just submit it. I don't think Spearbit should be, Cantina should be that restrictive. That's silly. That's just kind of CYA, cover your ass type thing.
Yeah.
But hey, what do you do?
Yeah, what do I do?
What
It
do you
works
do?
out. It works out with my audit deals with them, so I have
Yeah,
the agreement. Yeah.
that's good, man. Let me ask you this. So I looked at some of your audits. I noticed you're kind of big into the L2s. Is that right?
I would
Or
say
you were?
currently maybe. It just so happens that a lot of my work has been with L2s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't really like specialize in them. It just so happens to be like that.
Okay. All right. I was curious if I mean, you're on Twitter like all of us. Did you see the one with Scroll, that white hat mage
Yeah.
submitted?
I didn't really look into the bug though. I just saw it was like a one line mistake that costed 1 million. But I
That's
don't
always
really
the
know
case.
what went wrong there.
It was a reentrancy. I think it was because of 7702. So now smart contracts could interact with their gateway, and then it wasn't blacklisted
Ah, I see.
before. Yeah, after they did this Pectra upgrade. So one line, and then he was able to snag it in time. He must have been watching it. So super cool. I thought it was the coolest thing because the timing, and because everyone was looking at Petra thinking, okay, teams have done their research. Any big team with any sort of security team would say, hey, okay, Petra, what kind of vulnerabilities is this change opening that now EOAs could be contracts? And these guys didn't see it.
Yeah. I think what struck me the most, what was most interesting was how fast he actually found it. If you look at the timeline, I think he found it like the same day as the upgrade went live. I think a few hours after it. So it's
Yeah.
pretty insane to me, like how fast he just picked up on it.
It-
Maybe he just so happened to be looking at it. I don't know.
no, he flagged it. I mean, he flagged it and he put an alert, and then he was waiting to see what kind of change they made, and then they made the change. White Hat Mage, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what you said.
So he was like, I know he monitors upgrades, but was he monitoring specifically for like Spectra related bugs, or he just looking
I
at the
bet he
upgrade?
was. I bet he was, man.
Damn.
I mean, have you ever done that? Because I've done that in the past where I've looked for, I set alerts. I still have alerts coming in for, my God, I got to turn this Telegram bot off. I still get this one from Balancer, some crazy bug I had. I had thought that it was a bug. And so I set these alerts, and then it started happening. And then I realized the bug was nothing. And I never turn off my Telegram alerts. So I still get reminded, like, hey, this is happening again. Some ad gauges call.
I see. Yeah, I've never done it. I think the furthest I've gone was monitoring changes on Immunify, like the new assets and the new contracts and changes. This was
Mhm.
before I think the public bot went live, when like Bytes and a few other people launched their open source Telegram bot for this. So I used to do
Mhm.
it before that, but I really never got fully into bounties, so I didn't like look at the contract immediately after it was live. So it's just flooding my notifications, and I turned it off eventually.
So, but you did bounties for a bit. You dipped your foot into there. You got a few. Like, what was your reaction? Why did you do it? Why did you say, "Hey, auditing's for me. I'm going to do contests and audits"?
So for bounties specifically, I did it quite a lot. I think while I was doing contests back in the second half of 2023 and early 2024, before I did audits fully. So my biggest bounty was actually quite early on. This was before I actually got like success in contests. It was like some NFT gauge thing. I don't really remember, but it was something like you stake and then you get an NFT, and then the bug was that when you merge two NFTs, like the accounting goes wrong. They didn't account for
Mhm.
some gap or something like that, some time gap. Yeah. So that was my biggest bounty, which was very, very early on in 2023. But after that, I
Mhm.
didn't really continue on, sadly. Yeah. Yeah.
But what happened? Why didn't you keep going? If you got a positive signal that, hey, this works, why'd you switch gears?
I think mainly I just did contests more because my first entry into Web3 security or DeFi security was Code Arena. Originally, the idea stood out to me because, like, you could just find a bug and you would be guaranteed to get paid. This was like a pretty insane prospect to me at that time because
Mhm.
I originally came from like infosec. I was like decent at it, but not really good, just starting out. So like Code Arena, when it appeared to me, it was like such a I don't want to say an easy way to earn money, but it's like at the time it's such a like a new thing, And the contest formula was like pretty interesting as well, in a sense that you could report a bug and duplicates aren't a problem. You get paid regardless of whether you found the bug alone or whether like someone else found it before you. So it was a pretty interesting prospect for me. And so mainly my idea originally was to do contests and then maybe move into bounties after that. I think a lot of people have this idea as well, where contests are like a training ground for bounties. But I think I did contests for most of 2023. And after 2023, after I hit number one on C4, my idea was to go into bounties, but then I did audits instead because that opportunity like popped up for me. So I just went with it.
Yeah, like if you're number one on Code Arena for the entire year, that's like it's like I don't want to say like Olympics, but it's like you're doing a competitive thing where you're saying, "Look at me, this is what I could do. I know I'm good," and guys are going to try to snipe you and try to put. Whereas if you did bounties, it kind of actually doesn't make sense from a business perspective. So I think the
Yeah.
route that you took makes much more sense because you can say, hey, look, man, you got to pay me. Look, I'm the boss. Look, I beat everybody.
I think at that time, like the end of 2023 and the start of 2024, that era, becoming a solo auditor was very, very popular. It was the era where like Pasha tweeted a lot, Bytes tweeted
DM
a
for
lot.
audits.
Yeah. Yeah, the DM for audits era. So everyone wanted to become a solo auditor at that point. So I sort of got dragged into that bandwagon as well, where I wanted to, I want to finish with contests and then start doing audits and print loads of money. But sort of got there, but not really, as in I still work with firms. I'm not a full independent auditor, kind
And
of.
why not? You don't like the business side?
Yeah, I think it's not really for me. Because originally during 2024 when we launched Renaissance, the idea was to be a small firm, sort of like the independent groups we see nowadays. But I realized that I didn't really like dealing with clients in a sense that I don't like chasing them for money, working out the deals and everything. Yeah. So I think like a lot of my effort can be better spent into like working on technical stuff instead of dealing with people. Because I don't think I'm great at dealing with people, especially when like you're asking people for money. So
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of guys in this space are they're very introverted and they just let me look at the code and that's all they want to deal with.
Yeah. So that's why I think at the start of 2024, I did want to like have the idea of like becoming a business and sort of launch a business because I think it earns you a lot of money, especially if you started that early. But yeah, slowly I did think it's really not for me. Maybe it's better to just be more technical in a sense.
What do you think about? Because when in 2023 was Light Chaser around?
2023, I think towards the start of 2024, like Chaser was around during the
Okay.
Code Arena, like the bot race era.
Yeah. Do you feel like the bar has been raised now for a guy? Because you were saying like, hey, you can guaranteed make some cash. Like maybe it's $100, whatever you find some bug as a new guy. But I think he's wiped away all of that, right?
Mm, I don't think so. I think okay, if you're talking about the current contest landscape now, I think it's a lot different. And it's not really because of like Chaser. And it's more because of like contest has evolved in a way such that they are no longer the same as they used to be, maybe like 2 years ago. Yeah, and then that's why I posted the contest update tweet and then like got a lot of hate on it. And then I posted the contest should disincentivize low levels auditors and then I got even more hate on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. Pulling up the
Yeah.
ladder behind you. How dare you?
Yeah. But maybe I can elaborate more on that. I really think that currently contests are sort of moving away from audits and they are more becoming like bug bounties. In a sense that in the past, where you used to be able to like find a bug and regardless of what you found, as long as it's a high or medium, you get paid. Now, I don't really think that's the case anymore. Protocol are sort of looking at contests as more or less of like a last guarantee in a sense that they just want to find the meaningful stuff. You can report some medium and they don't really care, honestly. Yeah. That's why it's sort of like a bounty now. You either go big or like you get zero.
Yeah. Yeah, because back in the day, like honestly, in the beginning of Code Arena, you could say, "Oh, you're missing the zero check," and you'd get paid, right? You get paid a small amount, but you would get paid.
Yeah.
And
I,
then it's just gone. Like you said, I think it's good for the projects. I think it's bad for the brand new guys. But also, I mean, you have LLMs now. You didn't have those then. You've always had Slither, but now you have things like Light Chaser, which are a bit more advanced. And those little bugs, unless you could prove they do matter, they don't matter.
yeah. I think LLMs are also an interesting prospect, especially the problem of spam. So it's like nowadays contests have so much spam that it's getting ridiculous. That's also partially why I think protocols don't really want to do contests anymore. Like you open your the the contest platform page, and then you see you have 2,000 findings to sort through. No one wants to do that anymore, so they just give up.
This is a huge problem, man. And I'm guilty of it. I've done like 2 contests. I did Euler, and I tried 3 different GPTs just to like see where they were at, and I was bouncing them off each other, and all my stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm really gonna target it. I'm just gonna, and none of it was valid, man. But I was like, oh, they're gonna review these things. Some human is gonna look at these things, and hey, fuck it, man. It's their job. They're hosting the contest, but in their shoes, I mean, my God, the amount of shit that must come in now that looks legit that you really have to get in there to debunk is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, it's an insane amount.
What's
But
the solution to that?
there's a solution to that. Do you say that?
I say, what is the solution to that?
Well, if you disincentivize all low skilled auditors, you might fix the problem.
But how do these new guys start then? Like, how do they prove themselves to show that, hey, look, I'm good?
Yeah, when I said that, I was sort of kidding in the sense that you shouldn't really like just give them 0. But I think my take is that the contest space is too lenient to people that don't really contribute positively to the security space and the security outcome of a contest. In a sense that you can just spam GPT findings and you will not get punished at all. At worst, your reputation goes down. But then the only downside of that is that you just need to submit a proof of concept, which you can again generate with GPT. So there's no downside essentially. So yeah,
That is a problem, and I wonder if more of the companies will say, "Hey, we want these, like the top tier, with like the Blackthorn, the what's Immune 5 things, the superheroes. I forget what it's called. Like these guys that are like, hey, we just want these real G's working on our projects. We don't want any noobs on here. These up and coming guys, they got to make a rep first, and then they can come get paid and hunt on a protocol."
yeah. Well, but in that case, you would just get an audit from them. So contests are kind of just done if you think about it that way.
Well, can
But
you have a contest between all the top guys? I mean, that's a little different, I guess, right?
that's true. Yeah, I think that's
If you
an
have them
option.
compete.
Sorry, if you have a what?
If you have them compete, because like I'll see a Spearbit audit and it has 5 big names on there, and so they're all working collaboratively on it. But I always think competition's good. I mean, wouldn't you want them competing against each other? Do you think you'd get a better outcome?
I think definitely, because you are sort of the amount you get is really tied to the amount of value you provide. Because, like, to be honest, audits, the problem with audits is that you are paid based on your time and you are providing output that can be measured, in the sense that as a protocol, you get a report, and if it has $5, you don't know whether the auditor did well or he did bad, because you don't know if they're actually $10 or there are only these $5. So that's the problem with audits. But if it's a competition, as an auditor, you're sort of incentivized to work hard because you don't have a choice. Otherwise, you will get a fat 0 for your paid out. So
I love that. I love that. I think that's the only way, to be honest, because I don't know what goes on inside Spearbit. I don't expect you to tell me anything. However, any platform that says, hey, we're going to pull together these top names that work independently and compete, and we're going to just put them all on one audit, I guarantee you there's some guys that just check in and like, yo, my name's on there. I know I'm getting paid for these 2 weeks at X rate per week, and just push the work on someone else. I guarantee that shit happens. I don't know who. I know on the inner circles talking, but I think they should just have it be competitive.
yeah, it definitely happens. I can guarantee you it happens. I think everyone knows, honestly, that
It's got it. Why wouldn't you? I mean, you have the incentive as a guy to just say, hey man, I can collect, well, I don't know what the rate is, 25 grand a week or something, to just kind of kick back.
for LSR it's 20. Yeah.
It's good cash.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's a pretty enticing prospect that sometimes I do think I should just create an alt account that just farms money and doesn't do shit. But
You would never do that, Mr.
yeah,
Milo Truck. He would
I have
never
a
do
conscience, so I'm not gonna do it.
that. That's lacking in this space. Thank God for the white hats out there, but I just saw another hack on X, 11 million from Cork Protocol, something I've never heard of.
Yeah, I just saw it as well. The interesting thing about that is I was actually looking at it like a few months ago. So a part of me thinks that if I stuck to it, I could have found like a nice bug. But I don't know whether it was there at that time. So yeah.
Are these guys on mainnet? Do you know, or some weird chain?
I think they're on mainnet. They are they're on mainnet. The
Someone
protocol
put
is
their own custom token in here. They didn't have a whitelist, it looks like.
it's a very strange. Okay, when I was looking at the protocol, it was quite strange in itself. Like it's something like Pendle, where you have a token and you split it into two, and one is the U and one is the principal, and they do some sort of like DPEG protection ish stuff. Yeah,
That reminds me of AP Wine. Was it the same guys where you could split it?
I don't
I don't
think
know.
so.
Maybe the same idea.
Yeah, sort of the same idea.
Bummer. This is the name of the game, man. Where do you think this goes from here? With now we're seeing. I mean, let's see. What year did you get into crypto full time? Would you say
Full time, I think halfway throughout 2023. So around June, I think. Before that, I knew C4. So before the half of 2023, I did C4 occasionally, like very, very occasionally. Because at that time, I was actually still in the military for my conscription. Yeah, my country is military conscription.
Are you in China?
No, I'm in Singapore.
Singapore. Okay.
Yeah. Some people think it's in China, but it's not. Fun fact.
How many years did you have to be drafted for?
2 years. Yeah.
And what was your job?
I was in the Air Force for being a load master. I don't know what you guys call it, but basically
Loadmaster. Yeah, same thing.
Okay, yeah, nice. So I was like flying on the C-130 as a load master. That was my job.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I think I'm fortunate to have had a pretty nice job for the 2 years instead of being like a infantry soldier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So for during that time when I was still in the military, I did look at C4 occasionally and did get some like nice cash, but not really a huge amount. And fun fact, during that time I actually did write a bot to just farm low and gas findings. So I would just run it on every contest and get some nice money. Yeah, but I only started doing full time after I got out of the military, which is around June of 2023.
Okay. And so now we have big names coming in. Like we have way more institutional adoption than we've had 5 years ago, 2 years ago. But we're still having the same security issues. Like really, I'd even say worse security issues. What the hell do we do? Like, and it's still like DeFi alone has a terrible usability problem. The whole ecosystem does, to be honest. It's even when I go do some DeFi, it's a pain in the ass and I make mistakes and it's confusing. And I consider myself a power user. So like, how the hell do we get other people to use this? It's still like an engineering kind of test project, and the average user won't touch it in my eyes, except for gambling on meme coins.
Genuine question is, do you not think the security is getting better?
I think it's getting worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's still hacks all the time.
I think my view is, okay, I can only speak for EVM because I only audit EVM, unfortunately. But I think it's gotten better actually. Like my view is that protocols sort of have been learning to write like more bulletproof contracts. Maybe not for the small ones. Like the small protocols, of course, like occasionally you still have the small protocols that like only go through one audit and then they launch, or they just change a line and they launch and then, oh, you missed out an authorization check, your fund's gone. But I think the bigger protocols are actually sort of learning how to write bulletproof contracts. Like the example I can give is you can look at Euler. the Euler contest, you would see that, and the Uniswap contest, you see that the contest doesn't really have much huge findings. They are mostly mediums. So that's my view on like security on EVM wise. But in general, the space is, I agree with the usability problem in the sense that it's too technical. Everyone speaks about like mass adoption, but then like my grandma can't use DeFi. She doesn't know what MetaMask is, so she is not gonna use DeFi ever. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me give you a list that I just thought of. So, all right, from your perspective, I mean, you're talking about EVM security, like contracts, all that stuff. I have a different take. So there's more knowledge about it. There's more agreement upon like, hey, get 3 audits, do a contest, get a like that is becoming more of a standard, and you see that's adopted more, especially for the big protocols like Aave, where they have a dedicated security company looking at the contract, everything. I think they do it great. But also, people are saying, well, look, we got these audits, we're good to go. And they trust the auditors too much. They're kind of, I've seen it where the devs just push it off to the auditors and they're not really keeping security in mind because they think, hey, that's the auditor's job. I've seen that. That's a problem. Also, the devs will always change things. There's still a huge amount of proxy contracts out there. That's another huge issue. That's against the whole kind of immutability concept. What's next that I just dealt with? You have Fiverr devs. So I was invited for a private security review of some little project, and it's just ridiculous when you see a high level critical of something that shouldn't even be there at all. And so the Fiverr devs have no idea, and they don't care because they're just hired on briefly. The owner of the protocol or whoever's growing it doesn't know, and they just think, okay, get an audit, everything will fix everything. Next is a vibe coding with these LLMs. I mean, it just fucks everything up. Sometimes it works good for tests, this and that, but people become lazy and they become reliant on them. And that's going to lead to more security issues. And then outside the EVM, you have, I think, phishing scams and drainers. All that shit has gone through the roof. People losing money. And then you have on top of that, like the AI voice changing, the KYC, like all this stuff is bad. And where are they targeting? Crypto users, because they have a lot of money. There's a lot of money in this ecosystem. So I'm bullish on security. Like I hope it improves, but I think it's a fucking mess right now.
Okay, that I can agree with. That's a pretty long list. Yeah, I was thinking of something to say, but I forgot. But okay, the vibe coding point. Fun fact is, I think I've actually audited a vibe coded protocol before. I actually don't know whether it was actually vibe coded, but it really did look like it was vibe coded.
How did you detect that?
Well, I cloned the repo and there was a cursor rules file inside. So yeah.
There was what?
So when you use cursor, you can like, they have the agent, right? That you can let it run and do stuff. You can write a rules file for it in a sense that you define what the agent can do and what it can't do.
And it
Yeah.
uploaded that?
Yeah, and that was in GitHub, which you would never upload. You shouldn't be uploading in the first place. Yeah. And in general, the protocol is like quite messy. And in a sense that on the surface, I think this is the problem with like LLMs. On the surface, everything looks fine. Like the code looks very nice and looks very clean. But when you look at like the integrations and how the funds flow in the protocol, nothing actually works. It just looks nice. So I think that's the problem with like coded contracts. My view on that is that I think it would make security worse for like the lower, smaller protocols, but I don't think that bigger protocols would really rely on them. Yeah, but we'll see how it goes because right now it's still pretty new.
Yeah. I played with Cursor a bit because I wanted to launch this DeFi protocol, and I was like, yo, I'm going to go vibe code this protocol. And because I was just going to have it build the base. And then I was going to, code the rest and audit the whole thing, whatever. And I'm playing with cursor and I just wanted to see what this thing could do. And it just started fucking everything up. It's just like it's really, for me, it's really hard to use. I said, okay, this is what I want. And it codes it up. And then I said, I want it like this. And once you start making some changes, it's like everything just became a fucking mess. No tests would run. And I gave up with it. I was like, okay, when I have time, I'll just code it from scratch or something like that.
I think so my view on this is I think it actually does well in other languages. Solidity is really bad to write with vibe coded in vibe
Why?
coding.
Why?
I think the models like O3 and Claude is just worse because it wasn't trained on Solidity. There isn't a huge database of like a lot of contracts compared to other languages like Rust or C. So it writes those better. But I don't really know. This is just from my personal experience of like using cursor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about do you code much?
Recently I do for like personal things. So I've been actually writing a fuzzer for like fun and maybe to try it out on like audits and bounties.
Oh shit, get recon.xyz/riptide. How dare you? What is this fuzzer? Why are you writing your own when you have all these options out there?
So okay, a bit of background before I actually did DeFi security and like Web3 security, I was actually working on infosec. I said that before. So my main job was actually working on fuzzing on like Windows stuff. So that's my background. And I think a lot of my interest is actually not on manual review, although manual review is all I do these days. But a lot of my interest is in automated bug discovery. So you have like program analysis and like symbolic, I forgot what the term was for it. Yeah, like how most these kind of things and fuzzing as well. So for the longest time in the past like 2 years when I've been doing audits, a part of me is always like wondering, can these be automated? And there has like to be a better way of finding bugs than just staring at code and then like thinking. Because one of my worries is that one day I will just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and just miss a bug and it goes live and boom, your funds are gone. So yeah. So recently I've like gotten more time to work on what I want. And what I want to be working on is like fuzzing and program analysis. So this is what I've been writing and playing around with recently.
And you're targeting EVM applications for this?
Yeah, it's still EVM because a part of my motivation was just to learn how to write a fuzzer as well. So it makes more sense to write something in an ecosystem that I'm familiar with. Yeah.
And I'm just thinking back in the day, I used to use Hashcat. Are you familiar with that?
Isn't that the one for breaking hashes? Is it?
Yeah, it's a password cracker that you could use your GPUs on.
Yeah.
I used to play with this, back in the day for just like trying to crack zip passwords and stuff. And I thought it was the coolest thing because I was like, oh, I could use my graphics card for it. Is there any fuzzing software where you can, I don't know if you'd need to use this, but like, can you use your graphics card to fuzz to go
Like,
crazy fast?
can you use GPUs?
Yeah.
So there's been research on this. I think Bits actually has a blog on this. Currently, it's not possible, but they did try. It's a very interesting blog that I understood none of. Like I read it, and I was like, "What was going on?" Yeah,
I love when Trail of Bits, some of their guys, man, they just flex on me with like a blog, some research thing, and it's just they have some really great talent there.
yeah, they have quite a lot of talented researchers. Their research is very well done, actually.
Have you ever used Mithril?
No, Mitchell was. Well, I don't want to say before my era because that makes it sound like Mitchell's out of date. But I've never used it.
Yeah, no, it was. I only used it maybe once or twice. I think the most I spent was on Echidna, and yeah, it was Echidna. But the guy responsible for it, he was on Twitter. He built Mithril as Bernhard Mueller. I tried to get him on the podcast, but he's like, no.
Oh,
I'm
really?
too. Yeah, he's just like, I just go low key, but he's really cool. He made this other really cool tool, and I shared it in the Discord. It's called Legion.
Yeah,
And have you checked that out?
I was looking at it as well. It
I
was
It's a pain in the ass to get set up, but I set it up and it's pretty cool, man. So I have this Telegram bot running and it's running all these jobs and it's got a database going and it's scanning, updating, and it uses GPT to kind of um, look at Git commits for these projects. And, the description will be minimal maybe, but then I think it looks at the changes and it knows the code base a little, and it gives you, it says, hey, like security alert, this could be something and here's why.
I think
And
the most interesting thing I found was it can actually monitor, like, you can just ask the AI and the models directly about things about the entire unified code base,
right,
which is pretty
that's pretty
insane.
cool too. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fun thing to play with, man. I mean, I gotta say, you must be a power user to set this shit up. But if you're able to set up like you know repos that are cross-chain repos and complex test suites, you'll be able to do it. It's just a pain, but it's pretty cool just to have another tool to be able to reference, just to look for bugs.
Is it really that pain to set up? Because I did scroll through it and I thought it was just like plugging in your API keys and then you run it and it's done.
No, it's more about like getting the packages, the dependencies going,
Ah, okay, I
because
see.
he wasn't that clear on it, and I mean, it depends on your system. I think I got it running on Mac, but I couldn't get it running on my Linux box.
I see.
So
Yeah. I
there
mean,
it goes.
I haven't tried it, but it looked pretty like quite a monolithic project, I would say. Especially when he flexed that you can just like ask the AI about, oh, find me all like Uniswap V3 callbacks, and then it would
Yeah,
just come out with everything that's related. That's quite insane to me.
it's cool, and guys like this are just very unique. Like these dudes just say, hey, you know what? I just need to create this project, and they just put it on their GitHub. And you look at it, it's like, dude, how many hours did it take for this guy to make it? And he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, this is just what I do. I do really geeky shit.
I mean, he came back. I think, okay, I don't know, but he came back after retirement, right? Like he retired for a year and then he came back to do stuff.
I don't know. Did he?
I think so. Because he
Well,
has tweets about like why retirement wasn't good for him or something like that. I don't remember. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And for all you know, maybe he was working out as well. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool that he can just work on things that he wants to without like any stress of, oh, I'm not earning money and I need to pay bills. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he actually like is just like the rest of us. Yeah.
well, I mean, okay, you're making 20 grand a week as an LSR. I don't think you're like the rest of anybody, man. And there's guys making $1 million bounties. Like there's crypto is a crazy place with so many different levels of wealth. But I think we can agree that like even though Singapore is expensive, you now have the freedom to kind of do what you have financial pressures off of you. Uh, and yet you're still doing auditing contests. Do you have any sort of end game, or do you do you see yourself stepping back at some point to do something, uh, just in your interest, maybe outside this industry?
So this is something I've actually thought a lot about because okay, I'm gonna get not hate, but a lot of people are gonna be like, how can he be saying this? But I actually don't really like auditing. I don't really like the prospect of staring at code for hours and just trying to find every single bug because it's such a repetitive process.
Mm-hmm.
I think originally when I was doing contests, I did like it a lot. But people always say that if you do something you love for a job, it eventually becomes boring.
Right.
And I didn't believe it, but now I do because I've experienced it for a year last year because I did a lot of audits. Yeah. So recently, what I've been thinking is that maybe I should sort of not say step back from audits, but sort of put more time into looking into what I want to do and working on what really interests me, because I don't work well when the sole goal is money, which I think a lot of 2024, my sole goal of doing audits wasn't really because I was interested in doing audits, but more of I just wanted to hit a monetary goal of earning money and hitting a target of, oh, I can earn 1 million a year. I didn't, by the way, but yeah.
Mhm.
But maybe coming into this year, one of my goals was like having sort of the confidence and sort of the mind to work on what interests me without the pressure of like monetary goals. So like yeah, when I was writing a father, this was something I did want to pursue as well. But who knows what I will be doing? Maybe eventually I'll stop doing audits. You never know.
You gonna open up a canoe manufacturing business, handmade canoes?
Maybe I'll become a farmer. go live in New Zealand and raise sheep. You never know.
What's the scene like out in Singapore, the crypto scene?
I actually don't really know. I think there's
Never leave
so
your apartment.
okay, maybe because of that, but I think from what I've heard, there's actually quite a lot of like DeFi crypto people here. But my take is that I think they are sort of like this quote unquote scammy bunch. As in they're
Mhm.
just there to make money. You know, you go to those like conferences and events and the vibe is sort of off. Like, everyone there is just trying to sell your product.
Oh
Everyone
yeah.
there is like just trying to make money off of you. That's the vibe I get.
When it's all female, that's usually a sign to roll out. Marketing, marketing, marketing.
Yeah.
But you speak Mandarin as well, right?
Yeah.
So what, like, because that's part of the blockchain that we don't see, the whole Mandarin speaking side. Any insight you can give us, because I'll randomly hit projects sometimes and I'm like, oh, this is some Chinese making this one. This is interesting. But it's just like, and you go to their page and it's all in Mandarin. But what kind of insights can you share, versus the West on how they're doing things in crypto? Like, where's the money coming from? Retail institutions, anything about that?
Yeah, I actually don't know much about this because
Oh fuck!
yeah, I
God
speak
damn it!
Mandarin, but I'm not really connected to like China and like their sort of their space there. I'm pretty sure it's quite different from what we have over here. But
Yeah,
yeah.
you lay low. You really are life on the blockchain. That's what I'm talking about. I forget what this podcast is sometimes. Life on the blockchain. It's good, man. You're dedicated. That's the guy we need. Dedicated to the code.
Yeah, mostly working on technical stuff.
I know, dude. It is what it is, man. I think we're in a society now, in a world where everyone is online and everyone is on their phones, the computers, everything, and it's just going to get more and more so. So it's not like your scenario is unique at all, man. It's like everyone I talk to they're all locked in. It's crazy.
I think it might partially be because of our circle, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone
of
we work
course.
with is sort of a workaholic and we're all addicted to just staring at computers. So
Why? I know why is it too. It's because crypto sucks you in with the promise of getting rich. I think that's a big thing, and then it sucks other people in because they're like, hey, it's decentralized and it's geeky as hell and you could do whatever you want on it. And so you have this clash of people that are out to just get rich quick and then other people that are there for the tech, and some are on the fence. And I've never seen another industry like this.
yeah, I think most people honestly get sucked in because of like the financial prospects. Because the amount of money we are sort of like we usually talk about is insane. This is not something you really see in other industries. Like we see people like, oh, I'm farming like 1,000% APR. I get 2K a day. Do you know how many people would like kill for this amount of money?
Yeah. And the risks are stratospheric, though. I love when you see some guy repping about some protocol, some new DeFi primitive, and they're like, you could just loop your leverages and that, like it's risk free. And then it always happens. Something happens, whatever the fucking something depegs, whatever. And then people get liquidated and they say, how could this happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the risk is people are, greedy, so they don't really consider the risk. Whereas, like, for us, all we see are risks. That's why I'm very hesitant to use DeFi. I think, do you use DeFi a lot? The vibe I get from you is you were originally like using DeFi and then you got into security that way. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. I was crazy DeFi degen, just like an idiot, going nuts, but I was making money and I lost some money in a hack. And, but yeah, now when I do DeFi, I have to read the contracts. I won't put any money in before I look at the whole protocol.
Ah, I see. Yeah, that's sort of the same as me. Even when I was using like safe, I looked at the entire safe contract, didn't find anything safely. Yeah,
Yeah, I just it's more out of curiosity to see like how they're doing it. Like, okay, I'm gonna deposit. How's the flow gonna go here? What are you doing? And yeah, obviously you're making sure your investment's fine, but I don't know, a lot of it is fueled by curiosity. And if I don't have that, to be honest, I'm out of this space. Like if you're talking you don't like audits now, I mean, I think you should switch to bounty hunting because then like I couldn't do audits, man, where you're like, hey, look, here's a Uniswap fork, number 100. You need to look at it again. You must look at it. I just couldn't do it, man. I just look at things that I'm interested in.
yeah, I get what you mean. Because honestly, my view is we don't see a lot of innovation in sort of like not say DeFi, but the sort of the contract landscape. Everything is almost the same, I would say. So when you do a lot of like audits, you kind of see the same thing over and over again. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where it starts getting boring. Whereas if you do bounties, you can just choose what you want to look at. So you can just look at the interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe that keeps it fresh. That's my
Yeah,
view.
absolutely. And the hope of like, oh, today's going to be $1 million bounty. Then you walk away with zero, but it's like you come up to the gambling table and you see what you could do. But on that topic, like where you see the same things and some people, so there was this quote, I don't know if people still use it, but don't roll your own crypto. And that was in reference to people redoing things that are already done, that are already secure. Like, you don't need another Gnosis safe. Okay. But I like to see innovation out there for different things, for certain things. But you don't need to roll your own crypto for like certain things that are already tested and proven. Like, you don't need to write a new bytes library or whatever, things like that. And when people do dumb shit like that, I don't know why they're doing it. Probably for the challenge, for one, like they can optimize it. But there's things to innovate on, and there's things you should just let chill, I think. What do you think?
Yeah. I think this is actually like good advice that I would give protocols. Because usually you see most of the things that a protocol would want to write has already been implemented somewhere. And I think you can save like a lot of time and effort and like audit costs if you just look at what someone else did and sort of like adapt it in your own way. And especially if it's something in a library, a lot of people just don't look at what Open Zeppelin has and they just roll their own implementation. And then in the audit report, it comes out in my recommendation, one line, just use this when they like wrote a whole contract for it. Yeah. So it's something that occurs quite often that I don't know why. I would say it's maybe like a knowledge issue where people don't know things exist. Probably. That's my take.
What about the double-edged sword here, where they take something that already exists, but then what do you think they do? They modify it without knowing what they're doing. And then you get like this hybrid of something that's been audited to death. And then this guy's like, you know what? I'm just going to make a little change here. And and then he potentially fucks up the whole security of everything.
Yeah, like the 1,000th Ave fuck we're gonna see, and that gets hacked.
These devs are crazy, man. Like, I don't know what to say about the space. It's awesome. I love logging in every day and just seeing that some dude put out some new idea and it's gaining traction, and you don't know what it's going to be like. And to just work in an industry like that where it's not gated and each day is crazy is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about this industry, and originally what drew me to it, other than printing loads of money, which honestly, if everyone was honest, I think that's what drew them to the space, was that you're sort of at the forefront of like innovation, especially back in like 2023 when security was quite immature. You see like new things pop up. They are trying to sort of shape how contracts should be written, and people innovate on how contracts should be written. Like ERC 4626. I think this is a quite good example of like innovation to like make the safe more secure. So you stop all the inflation attacks from happening. Now everyone just inherits OpenZeppelin's ERC 4626 and they don't have this problem anymore. So that's very cool to see in a sense. Yeah.
I do like that. I do like some of the standards when they're used correctly.
Yeah. But you also have the flip side of I think some standards are quite dumb, to be honest.
Like which one? Name one.
Okay,
Some of the OZ ones I don't like. I think some of the OZ ones are out of control. Like they're signing libraries. Some of these things just go way overboard, and it's just like a lot of clutter. You just want to, in your mind, just want to remove all this shit so you could see the actual code.
Have you seen their governor contracts?
Which one?
Their governor contracts. There are so many the inheritance that is like
Oh
insane.
my god. They love the inheritance pattern. Love it.
I mean, I get why it's implemented this way, because you're writing a library. So like you sort of have to compose everything together. You can't write a nice one contract, because if you write like one contract without any inheritance, people can't use parts of it. But I think it's sort of like gotten too much that now when you like read the contract as a whole, no one knows what's going on anymore.
I enjoy reading Viper contracts. They're so straight to the point and it's just easy. Versus I pull up a Solidity contract on Etherscan and it's like 1 of 42. I just search, I'll search for a function and then it's like, oh, this is the function. Oh no, wait, override, virtual. It's oh my God. It's a fucking mess.
Actually, this is a good point to talk about. Why do you think Viper hasn't gained traction?
Well, it's newer for one. Actually, I don't know how new it is compared to Solidity. I know Solidity was first, but Viper's still been around quite some time because you've had the original CRV contract, the locker, everything's written in Viper. But why hasn't it gained adoption? I guess not as composable, because you can't. I mean, it's not as composable as Solidity. I guess I think that's why I would say it hasn't gained the adoption, because I'd say security wise, both have had their issues and still have their issues. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know as well, but I think a lot of people sort of always say that we need a new language. Solidity is a bad language, but then we have another language, but I don't know, traction isn't there. So there's sort of a question mark problem to me as well. Of course, Viper has had the reentrancy problem where they have a compiler bug, which is quite a scary prospect to think about. Like imagine if Solidity ever had a huge devastating compiler bug, the ecosystem is just wiped out completely, which is an insane thing to think about. So yeah.
Dude, I always tell people, I'm like, Solidity is at 0.8 point whatever 2 or something. It's not even at version 1. Like we're still quite early to this whole thing. So hopefully there's not anything, but you never know, man. That's how bugs exist. They're
Yeah.
not there until they're there.
Yeah. I mean, I've read through some of the Solidity bugs, and honestly, some of them look quite, not say bad, but it's something you would see in a normal contract. I think the one that stood out to me the most is like there was an issue with fixed arrays where if you have like a fixed array, let's say a uint256 array with like a fixed length of 2, something would happen with the optimizer where it would override the length. Something like that. Yeah, I
Right.
don't remember. But the problem, what stood out to me was that it's in pure Solidity. It's not like another U optimizer bug where you do some obscure assembly thing and then it messes up. Yeah.
I think what gets people more, because they'll have some extreme edge cases on those bugs. I think what gets people more is just the trapdoors of Solidity. Just it's interesting behavior. If you read the full manual, you're up to speed on it. But I don't think all devs really go all the way in depth. Well, speaking of bugs, hold on before I forget. I almost forgot the fucking alpha drop, man. All right, we got to drop some motherfucking alpha here. All right, alpha drop. My alpha drop is going to be about something I was looking at today. Messaging. I cannot stress how cool messages are. So look, just another thing to look at is all I want to give. Is just ideas to look at when you're looking for bugs. Look at protocols that have functions that say like handle receive message, send message, stuff like that. See how they're encoding the message. Is there malleability there? Is there is everything being signed off on, all the variables? Can you do anything to that message after it's been sent when you call to receive it? Can you alter anything? Just cool things like that. I think messaging is kind of underlooked because people say, "Oh, no funds are being sent," but messages can be quite powerful. They can handle governance issues. They can do voting. They can even send funds indirectly. So that's something to check out. milotruck, what do you got?
Maybe not specific. I think my general alpha drop is, so a lot of people recently have been saying you shouldn't do Solidity. As in, if you're a newcomer to the space, investing in learning Solidity and trying to do EVM security and Solidity security is not worth it. But I think the way to look at it is that you should sort of look at what is upcoming in the space in general and then try to learn that as fast as possible and focus on that. An example would be when Solana was coming up, you should learn it as fast as possible and capitalize on that. And now currently, I think even if you look at Solana, it's quite crowded already. So you should focus on the upcoming things, which I think now chains are a very good thing to look at. You see that Whitehead made a lot of his bounties are on chains and blockchains, which there isn't a lot of eyes on. ZK is also coming up, so you could look into that. Yeah. But the general takeaway is that you should always don't just focus on like the security bubble, but look at what is the new upcoming tech that looks like it's going to be big. Even the EVM space, you see that cross-chain messaging and cross-chain stuff was and currently is becoming a huge thing because Ethereum in general wants to focus on like the L2 roadmap. So it would be good to focus on that as well because it's upcoming. Instead of just like, oh, I should do something different from others. So I learn Cairo for the sake of it. And then it never takes off. And then you just learn something that didn't take off. Yeah, so that's my alpha drop.
That's good alpha. Hyper liquid. Hey, that's a good the hyper EVM. Check that out. That's something new too. Oh, so we made it to an hour, Mr. milotruck. Thank you for coming on. I want to give a shout out. Join the Discord channel. Check out the Substack, and if you are going to host a bounty audit competition on ImmuneFi, check out the link tree. I got a link on there. They'll kick us something back to the podcast. So anyway, get recon.xyz/riptide. And that's all we got. So see you guys next time on the blockchain.